Ethiopia is a country that refuses to keep time the way the rest of the world does. Here, a year has 13 months. And it isn't 2026. It's 2018. A new day doesn't begin when the clock hits zero, but when the sun actually lifts over the horizon. In this blistering corner of the planet, scientists have uncovered the oldest human fossils, more than 3 million years old. From the eerie, moss-draped forests of the Bale Mountains to the rift valleys where our ancestors first rose onto 2 feet. Ethiopia feels like another world, quietly hiding in plain sight on Earth. It's the only African nation never fully colonized, a place that has guarded its identity for millennia. Christianity became the state religion in 330 AD, long before most of Europe embraced it. People still live on ancient highlands carved by the Great Rift Valley, where tectonic forces challenge the very idea of permanence. Traditions endure, protected by isolation and devotion. In Ethiopia, history isn't sealed inside ruins. It's carried by the mountains, honored in rock-hewn sanctuaries, and spoken through people who refuse to forget. To understand Ethiopia, you begin in a place where tools aren't made. They're pulled from the rock itself. A place where faith isn't raised brick by brick, but opened by fire. Lalibela. Here, 11 churches weren't built upward toward the sky. They were carved downward, cut straight from a single mass of volcanic stone. Historical records say the work didn't stretch across centuries, but was completed in just 24 years. It was the vision of King Lalibela, who vowed to create a new Jerusalem on African soil, a sacred city within reach of every Ethiopian Christian. Nearly 2,800 meters above sea level, surrounded by dry, rugged highlands. More than 40,000 builders labored with simple tools, picks, levers, small axes, digging courtyards and corridors as deep as 50 meters. And among them stands the most iconic of all, the Church of St. George, hewn into the earth in the shape of a perfect Greek cross. How it was truly made remains a mystery in written history. But for the people who pray here, the answer has always been clear. This was the Church of Angels, and they came in the night to help finish what human hands began. Just beyond the highlands of Lalibela, the road drops into a basin scientists rank among the most punishing places people have ever called home. This is the Danakil Depression, where 3 tectonic plates are prying the Earth apart at roughly 2 centimeters a year. The land isn't shaped by wind and rain so much as by force and fracture, a world made by ripping. Heat rules everything. Temperatures average around 35 degrees Celsius year-round. and often surge past 50 degrees Celsius, turning the air into something you don't breathe so much as endure. The basin lies about 125 meters below sea level, and the atmosphere is laced with hydrogen sulfide, a sharp, rotten egg stench that burns the throat and crowds the lungs. Even the water feels hostile, so acidic in places it can eat through metal. And still, life refuses to quit. Researchers have identified nanohaloarchaea here, microorganisms whose cell structures echo what might survive on Mars or Venus. The ground never stays the same. Boiling salt water flashes into vapor. New vents open as others vanish within days. No trails, no shade, only the hiss of escaping gas and the uneasy tremor of magma moving underneath. Long before you reach it, the heat finds you, spilling into the night from kilometers away. Each step closer, your skin tightens, dries. Erta Ale rises from a wilderness of salt flats and shattered volcanic crust, guarding one of the planet's few persistent lava lakes. In the crater, the molten skin never stops moving, folding and breaking at temperatures that can top 1,100 degrees Celsius. When the volcano wakes, fissures can open across the plain and glow bright enough to reveal lava spilling through fresh cracks. Above, the sky turns pitch black, cut only by the red-orange pulse of the lake. Hot gases lift in shimmering waves that warp the horizon and seem to swallow sound. Up here, there's no room for comfort, only fire, rock, and a silence that feels absolute. The Danakil's salt flats aren't just a lake. They're a white, blinding world where a hypersaline sheet of water hides beneath a crust of salt hard as stone. At the heart of it lies Lake Karum, Lake Assail, sitting about 120 meters below sea level, in a basin so hot that the air can climb past 50 degrees Celsius, and the horizon seems to shimmer like it's on fire. This salt isn't scooped from water. It's cut from the earth. Hundreds of Afar miners, officially numbering in the high hundreds, work out on the pans, breaking salt plates, trimming away grit, and chopping them into neat blocks and tiles, some only a few kilos each. Then the desert starts moving. Every day, camel caravans form long, patient lines that can stretch for what feels like a kilometer across the empty white. Camels are loaded with stacks of salt bricks, sometimes dozens at a time. And the column begins its slow climb toward the trading town of Berheo, a journey that can take a day or two under the open sky. The lead handler doesn't need a rope. He walks, sets the rhythm, and guides the whole procession with footsteps and quiet commands. There are no trees, no shade, no easy stopping point. The caravan keeps going until the salt becomes money again. Planet of limestone chimneys. If there's one corner of Ethiopia that looks like a sci-fi set built by geology, It's Lake Abe, right on the border with Djibouti. This is where the Awash River finishes its long run. Not by reaching the sea. Across the shoreline, hundreds of pale towers rise from the flats. They're travertine chimneys, built slowly when mineral-rich geothermal fluids meet the lake's water, and calcium carbonate drops out, layer by layer, into stone. Some of these pillars reach around 50 meters high, scattered like the ruins of an abandoned city. And the place is still alive. A few chimneys continue to vent warm steam, wrapping their bases in drifting mist so the whole landscape seems to breathe. Flamingos wade through the salty shallows, drawn by algae and microorganisms that thrive in hypersaline water. When thousands gather, their pale pink bodies tint the surface with color, a reflection that looks almost painted against the mineral desert. Heads down, they feed in slow, steady rhythm, and every so often the flock lifts its wings together, brushing the air with flashes of pink in a world that doesn't feel like Earth at all. Leaving Ethiopia's dry lowlands behind, the country doesn't just rise, it surges. The road climbs into the Simien Mountains, a UNESCO World Heritage landscape that looks carved with a giant blade. Jagged peaks, deep valleys, and cliff edges that drop around 1,500 meters into open air. Some mornings, the summits appear for a heartbeat, then vanish again as mist slides through the passes, turning the next bend into a leap of faith. This high kingdom was shaped by erosion over millions of years, and it culminates at Ras Dasan, Ethiopia's highest point, rising to about 4,533 meters. Up here, life has learned to live on the edge. Galetas roam the grasslands in big, noisy troops, their bright red chest patches flashing like embers against the wind. They're famous for a diet built around grass, and field studies show grasses make up the bulk of what they eat. They often feed sitting upright, calmly plucking blades as if the abyss beside them is nothing at all. And on the sheer rock faces, the Walia ibex appears, found nowhere else on Earth. Its hooves are built for stone, with sharp edges and concave undersides that help it grip narrow ledges where predators can't follow. The Omo Valley is where Ethiopia's high country finally gives way. Tilting down into wide, sun-baked plains in the far southwest. The land is painted in red soil and thorny acacia, cut by dry riverbeds that stay empty for months, then suddenly run and turn the valley green in ribbons. Here, life is still measured by rain, pasture, and the movement of animals, not by calendars. Among the many peoples of the lower Omo are the Hamar, also spelled Hamer. Agro-pastoralists for whom cattle sit at the center of economy, ceremony, and identity. Villages cluster in tight circles, with livestock protected in enclosures at night because a herd isn't just food, it's security, bride wealth, and a family's future. Honey matters too. Beekeeping is a real part of subsistence here, woven into daily work and men's roles. And then there's the detail you can spot from a distance. Hamar women styling their hair with butter and red ochre, twisting it into thick, red glinting locks that catch the sun like copper. Layers of beads and heavy neck jewelry can signal marital status and, in some cases, a woman's position as a first wife. When a boy is ready to be recognized as a man, the valley gathers for the bull-jumping ceremony, ukali, a rite of passage where he must cross a line of bulls without falling. Women relatives may choose to take part in a ritual of endurance as a public declaration of loyalty and strength, an intense tradition in a landscape that has never pretended life is easy. You might expect the oldest traditions to be preserved in stone, in carved wood, in animal hide. But in the lower Omo Valley, the Deasanak overturned that idea with something far more immediate, whatever the modern world leaves behind. In a place where resources are scarce and survival is never automatic, bottle caps, broken watch straps, and scraps of plastic don't stay as trash for long. They're collected, traded, hammered flat, stitched, and woven into headdresses and jewelry that shimmer in the sun like armor. What looks like waste from far away becomes, up close, a signature, a way to say, "This is who I am." The Deasanak are agro-pastoralists who've moved across the borderlands of Ethiopia, Kenya, and South Sudan for generations, following water, pasture, and the shifting logic of the seasons. In Ethiopia alone, their population has been recorded at about 48,000. And you can see their environment in their style. Bold, practical, unafraid of contrast. A young woman might wear a headpiece built from rows of metal caps arranged in tight symmetry, or a wig assembled from recycled strands, paired with ornaments shaped from whatever the land and the roadside can offer. It's startling and beautiful at once modern debris repurposed to carry something ancient forward. Then, farther along the river, the valley speaks in a different vocabulary. With the Karo people, what catches your eye first isn't sound or movement, but pattern. Before the day turns harsh, bodies become canvases, painted with white chalk, red ochre, and charcoal into lines and shapes that can signal celebration, identity, and pride. The Karo are a small community, estimated by ethnographers at around 1,000 people, living close to the Omo's edge. Their lives have long been tied to the river's rhythm through flood retreat cultivation, planting in the rich silt as waters recede, and across skin and hair, you can read the milestones of a life, scarification and styling that may mark adulthood, endurance, belonging, and sometimes a reputation for bravery. In this valley, nothing is just decoration, whether it's a necklace made from bottle caps or a body painted at dawn. It's a living archive written in materials that the outside world never thinks to value. Once, in the Omo Valley, children labeled Mingi, thought to invite misfortune, were cast out. Today, many are sheltered, embraced, and raised within their villages. Survival here means changing with the times. Some customs remain as proud heritage. Others fade softly as outsiders arrive and new ideas root. After days on Ethiopia's northern roads, Gondar appears like a quiet rebuttal to easy myths about African history. Founded in 1636 by Emperor Fasilides, it became Ethiopia's first permanent imperial capital and remained a center of power deep into the 1800s. To make that shift permanent in stone, Fasilides began Fasil Gebi, the royal enclosure, a vast compound of about 70,000 square meters wrapped in a 900-meter wall and guarded by multiple gates. Inside, palaces and halls rise from dark local masonry, bound not by legend but by lime mortar, Nora, the traditional binder identified in material studies of the site. The architecture feels both familiar and singular. Ethiopian at its core, yet touched by Arab and Indian influences, later reshaped by Baroque ideas brought by Jesuit missionaries. Climb Enkwalal Gem, the egg castle crowned with domed towers, and you reach a small prayer room with a full circle of views over Gondar. On a clear day, the horizon can even hint at Lake Tana, roughly 60 to 66 kilometers away, south of Lake Tana. The Abay River gathers itself and begins to move with purpose. For a while, it glides through the highland fields, almost quiet, until the land breaks open and the river drops. Here, the Blue Nile Falls, known in Amharic as Tisabay, the Great Smoke, hurls itself off the basalt edge in a curtain of spray. In the wet season, the falls can spread over 400 meters wide, and the roar becomes a kind of weather, rising into the air like a living thing. Not far downstream stands an unexpected companion to all that wild water, a 17th century stone bridge built in 1626 under Emperor Susenyos, still crossing the river the same way it has for centuries. The modern world has reached even here. Since 2003, a hydroelectric station has diverted much of the flow in the dry months. So the falls can shrink to a shadow of themselves, then return with force when the rains arrive. And despite the Abay's power, the falls also form a boundary. Back on Lake Tana, the water looks almost too calm to be the beginning of such a river. Fishing boats slide by, pushed with long poles. Overhead, great white pelicans drift like heavy, silent sails, gathering in patient lines along the shore as if waiting for a cue. And then, near the reeds, the lake gives you its other secret, a pair of small ears. Two steady eyes. A ripple that becomes a body. Hippos can seem peaceful at a distance, moving like quiet shadows. But the stillness is deceptive. This is a place where power learns to hide in plain sight. In eastern Ethiopia, there's a city where the streets feel too narrow for the present. Harar Jugol, the old walled town, is a fortified labyrinth of 368 alleyways packed into about 1 square kilometer. A place that reads less like a city map and more like a living manuscript of Islamic tradition. Its stone walls, built between the 13th and 16th centuries, don't just defend Harar from what lies beyond, they draw a line between worlds. Step inside and the pace changes. Mosques and shrines sit close to homes with bright, painted doors. Footsteps, goats, and shadows move easily through passages made for people, not vehicles. Harar is often called the 4th holiest city of Islam, and within these walls that reverence is visible. Dozens of mosques and over 100 shrines woven into daily life. Then, as the sun slips away, the most unexpected ritual begins outside the walls. Men walk into the dusk and call to spotted hyenas with whistles and low, familiar sounds passed down through families. The hyenas emerge from the dark and approach close enough to take pieces of meat, sometimes from a hand, sometimes from a stick held out like an offering. People here believe this nightly meeting helps keep peace between the city and its wild neighbors, turning fear into a fragile kind of trust, one sunset at a time.